At E3 2018, Nintendo announced a fair amount of stuff, but my interest was piqued by a new IP they showed called Daemon X Machina. I saw mechs flying around, blasting enemies in a stylized environment, and I wanted more. Fortunately, a demo for it came out not too long ago, one with a few missions, a couple plot points, and a glimpse at some of the ways to build out the mechs and their pilots. Character creation is a weird mix of freedom to customize and limited choices to customize. Things like hair color, skin tone, and suit color can be whatever you want, but actual parts for the character are sparse. Hairstyle has 6 options. Facial hair has 3 options, assuming you count none. How much of this is the demo not giving away much of the finished product, I don't know, but I would hope that this isn't even close to the game's limit. As it stands right now, Miis have more hair and eye options. So you make a mercenary, known as an outer, and get a loner arsenal, or mech. You take orders from 4, a computer which acts as a liaison for a group called Orbital, which helps protect humanity from an army of rogue AI machines called Immortals. There are, of course, other outers with their own factions, and they'll get assigned to the same orders as you on occasion. This leads to something I didn't particularly like: the way the game handles some dialogue in and out of missions. It's all text boxes and portraits which stack up like a Jenga tower. It's easy to follow because you can see what was said a couple lines ago, but aesthetically it's pretty dry presentation-wise, both here and in the hangar. This might end up like a Monster Hunter game, where you have players that just mash through the dialogue to get down to business. It also leads to lines feeling stiff and unnatural because they're timed to when each dialogue box appears.
He just means library in the sense that it's an archive of old records and data.
Either way, it's not like people still read real books nowadays.
Right you are, not Lucio. I hope you enjoyed that because it's one of my only negative criticisms of the demo. The actual gameplay is better than I thought it would be. It's one thing to see mechs flying around in a trailer, it's another to see how they maneuver firsthand. The controls are responsive and most of the buttons are mapped logically. For example, the L and ZL buttons control the weapons assigned to the left shoulder and arm, and the same goes for R and ZR on the right side. Flying takes a bit of getting used to since you don't really descend so much as fall, but I got the hang of it after the tutorial order. Aside from that, the arsenal is surprisingly agile. Dashing around, on the ground or in the air, and shooting at everything works well, and it needs to considering the sheer size of some of the immortals you have to fight later on. The game's lock-on mechanic is a major help, and largely prevented me from struggling to hit moving targets with just the crosshairs. Also, no fall damage. At least not from what I could tell. Adding to the versatility of the arsenals, they can pick up certain environment pieces and move or throw them around. One mission in particular makes good use of this mechanic, with some mines you can place wherever to destroy or at least slow down oncoming immortal drones. That assumes you stay in the arsenal the whole time, because you can end up outside of it, either by getting out or by the arsenal getting destroyed. You can still fight back using a hovering laser turret, but the limited mobility and lack of armor make it more of a last resort than anything else. I do like how the UI tries to be minimalist and not clutter the screen. Most of it is white text with transparent bars, which worried me because I thought my color blindness would cause me to not see certain information. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. The dominant colors of the environments didn't cause anything to blend in, and at the same time, nothing from the HUD obstructed my view of the action. Another thing that took getting used to? The Femto system. Femto charge can revive knocked out allies, something you'll absolutely want to do when fighting the bigger immortals. Femto recharges very slowly, but like weapon ammo, it also randomly drops from enemies. There's usually enough of it that, unless I grabbed it when I didn't need it, I could revive anyone when they went down, even for the longer, tougher fights. The full analytics breakdown for each order is a nice touch for the stat nerds out there, showing things like money earned, weapon use and efficiency, health graphs, stamina trends. It's the kind of thing that can make fine-tuning weapon loadouts, attack patterns, and part efficiency a bit simpler. Speaking of, the arsenal can also be customized in a couple different ways. One is its appearance. Each body part can have the colors altered, and if you found certain patterns, prints, or graffiti in the field during an order, those can be placed, colored, rotated, and stretched across various parts of the arsenal to create your own wide-awake nightmare. The other customization is the literal arsenal. When out on an order, certain enemies will give the option to either pick up their weapons and use them immediately, or salvage certain parts which can then be attached to your own arsenal later. The variety of weapons means you can essentially play whatever style you want, so long as you have the weapons for it. Long-range sniping and missile locks, mid-range automatics, short-range hit and run, whatever works for you. You can only salvage one item at a time from these guys, which I'm personally a fan of. Giving away too much at once can trivialize the early stages of the game, and I'd rather have the choice of what kind of part I'm getting rather than rely on a purely random drop when trying to build out my arsenal. The Outer also has another flavor of customization. The lab allows for Shadowrun-like surgical enhancements, leading to stat buffs like efficiency with certain weapon types, more stamina for boosting, better femto recharging, and the like. The catch is that some of them alter the Outer's appearance, so high performance has a price. Unless you decide to just revert back to the Outer's normal appearance, there's that option too. Overall, I'm encouraged, both by what I've played and by the developers sending surveys to players looking for feedback. They'd have time to implement at least minor changes, so this isn't like when, say, Bandai Namco held a beta for Lost Reavers on the Wii U, a beta which opened a few days before the game's full release. Daemon X Machina doesn't come out until sometime this summer, so that's all the more reason for tempered, cautious, not overreacting at all optimism.
So my street art and jams are part of culture too? Wow, gotta say, I like the sound of that.
Right you are, still not Lucio.
My art's exploding all over the place.